Hello coders, today we're going to be talking about my 2019 predictions for web development and coding. A few days ago I posted on Twitter 6 predictions and we're going to be discussing those today, and I'm going to give you some of my reasoning as to why I think these are going to change the game for web development and coding in 2019. Now the first one is that PWAs or progressive web apps will become as popular, if not more popular, than AMP or accelerated mobile pages. Now, both of these technologies have been pushed quite heavily by Google. A progressive web app is a mobile application which allows the developers and the users of that app to use the mobile functionality, such as the notifications. However, a progressive web app shares the same code base as a normal desktop website, obviously with some features and changes to make it a progressive web app. But this means that only one code base needs to be developed. And this is extremely attractive to my freelance clients who are looking for mobile applications, because you don't have to hire additional talent just to support iOS and Java for Android. If you've got a website and you've got lots of content already, you can change that to be a progressive web app, and therefore you're not actually starting from scratch. My second prediction for 2019 in web development is that GraphQL will not replace RESTful APIs. In fact, I've actually seen more of a demand for RESTful APIs because of GraphQL. GraphQL is fantastic because it allows developers to pick and choose from various different data sources, various different APIs written in various different languages, and return a single response back to the client. Now that client could be a mobile application, a PWA perhaps, it could be a website, or it could be something completely different. I've witnessed more of a desire for APIs to be created for very simple websites and web systems. Perhaps you have a front-end website and a very simple content management system and an API layer in between, where traditionally you would have direct access between the content management system and perhaps the database. Same for the front end, but now we have API layers which allow for the possibility of having mobile phone access through an API. And also by having GraphQL in between, that client can then talk to various different other data sources through GraphQL. Prediction number 3 is that Microsoft will embrace more open source software in 2019. And I use the word embrace because Microsoft has a reputation, or had a reputation I should say, for embracing, extending and extinguishing software. Now I'm not saying that this is their goal for the open source world. However, it's extremely interesting to see the movements of Microsoft and open source software. And also not only the movements, how they're handling open source software, but also how they're influencing open source software as well. So I think that in 2019, Microsoft is going to embrace some more open source software. Now, we've already seen a lot of movement with Microsoft in the open source world. For example, they've taken over GitHub. They've replaced Edge with the Chromium engine, which is huge. They are moving into the open source world and they're digging their heels into the web development world, which is quite worrying in some respects, but also extremely exciting in other respects. So I'm very interested to see what they're going to do next. My fourth prediction is fairly pessimistic. It's about JavaScript, it's about security, and it's about NPM. I think that in 2019, JavaScript will see another major security breach, and it will be centered around NPM, the Node Package Management System. I say this because we've already seen a number of security breaches where perhaps one maintainer has changed to another maintainer, so the ownership of the packages has changed, and that hasn't gone down too well. or we've just seen general security breaches around JavaScript because JavaScript is being used in so many different devices these days. It's embedded in so many different things, ecosystems. It can run drones, it can run operating systems, it can run on the server, it can do all sorts of things. It allows for WebAssembly to come into play. There is so many things that JavaScript can do that you wouldn't even think it could do a good few years ago. And I think that just exposes JavaScript and the JavaScript community to so many different extra additional challenges and pressures. JavaScript is fantastic, and I don't want to take that away from JavaScript. It is an amazing, amazing programming language. It's extremely flexible, extremely robust. However, I think because the surface area of JavaScript that's being used has broadened so much, we are literally going to see different challenges in play. And because NPM is the package management system of choice for JavaScript, that uses drones, that uses operating systems, that runs on the server, then that is going to be the point where the pressure is going to be felt. My fifth prediction for 2019 and web development is all about serverless. Serverless is a tried and tested technology. And if you think about serverless, you often think about AWS or Amazon Web Services. However, I don't think this is going to be the case at the latter end of 2019. I think more vendors are going to support serverless technologies and provide those with various different hosting packages. And I think that is fantastic because, again, it's proving the technology, proving the fact that serverless is a brilliant, brilliant tool for web development and web systems. My sixth and final prediction for web development in 2019 is all about WebAssembly. Now, personally, I feel that WebAssembly is this mysterious beast that nobody really knows what to do with. Nobody knows how to handle WebAssembly, what it could be used for, what it shouldn't be used for. However, I think in 2019 it's going to be used in greater anger amongst perhaps games developers or perhaps server applications. And I say this because more support is being given for WebAssembly and JavaScript. One that springs to mind is Go. Now, think about this. Go and JavaScript together. That is an amazing combination of programming languages that can be used in unison on the client, on a browser. That is amazing. So I'm very, very interested to see where this is going to go, where WebAssembly is going to take us. I don't think WebAssembly is just one of these fads and trends. I actually think it's going to be used and used extremely well. And I think that in 2019, we're actually going to see some very good applications being built with WebAssembly. So that was my web development predictions for 2019. Let me know if you agree with these predictions or if you've got other predictions yourself. Put them down in the comments section below or hook me up on Twitter at HowToCodeWell. Thank you ever so much for watching, or if you're listening on the podcast. Happy coding, and I'll see you again soon. Cheers, bye.